More than 100 countries have agreed on a United Nations treaty to protect the world's oceans. The landmark deal aims to conserve marine life and biodiversity in international waters. It's seen as crucial to bringing 30% of the world's land and sea under protection by the end of the decade. The long-awaited agreement wraps up after 15 years of talks.
The ship has reached the shore.
Applause and relief. After some 15 years of talks, a deal to protect the world's high seas is finally agreed by more than 100 countries.
I can safely say that this has been the learning journey of a lifetime. So thank you very much, everyone.
The oceans are our life support system. They provide us with food and transport routes. They regulate the climate. And they offer a range of valuable raw materials. But nearly 2/3 lie outside national boundaries, making them hard to protect. Now the UN High Seas Treaty will help conserve marine diversity in international waters. The world's oceans are under threat from plastic waste, climate change, and overfishing. Now it's hoped this new deal will at last start to turn the tide.
And to better understand the scope of this new treaty, I'm joined now by Robert Blasiak, an ocean researcher at Stockholm University. Welcome to the program, Robert. Can you explain to our viewers what this deal is all about?
Well, this deal is all about almost half of the Earth's surface, 47% to be exact, which is areas beyond national jurisdiction, the high seas, which belong to no country and kind of belong to everyone. And there's a lot out there. It's the largest habitat for life on Earth. This vast area, on average, 4 kilometers deep. And until yesterday, there was no international law, no treaty that's guided conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity in this area. It's a big deal, physically in terms of the size of the Earth, but also in terms of multilateralism, a sign that countries can play nicely together and still get big stuff done. It's a good day for us.
Well, I want to get more into the details of what this all means, but why did it take so long to reach a consensus?
Well, the main problem, and here I will get into some of the details, is that there are 4 main elements of this treaty negotiation. The first is conservation, so setting up a mechanism to create protected areas in the high seas. The second is having environmental impact assessments. The third is capacity building and transfer of marine technology. And the fourth, maybe the trickiest one, is the equitable sharing of access and benefits of marine genetic resources. And this is exactly why it takes so long, because marine genetic resources and biotechnology, it's moving at light speed. It's a great frontier of scientific and technological development. The United Nations does not move at light speed. It's one of those really slow deliberative organs. So this is where there's been a bit of a mismatch, where you have something that's growing so rapidly and so unexpectedly, paired with international negotiations, which do not move quickly. Just to give you a statistic on that, when the negotiations started, the cost of sequencing a raw megabase of DNA were over $6,000. Today, it's less than 1 cent. So
Wow.
These are the types of changes that are happening, and this is why diplomats are struggling to negotiate around it.
Sure. Incredible science there you're describing. Just a real quick last question, if I may. Great treaty, let's say, it sounds like it. What's the enforcement mechanism? What if a country disobeys?
Well, this is one of the tricky things. So there are all sorts of enforcement mechanisms, hard and soft. So the hard enforcement mechanisms are going to be really tricky on the high seas because it's such a big area and it's so far away. On average, it's 370 kilometers from any coastline. So enforcing what's happening out there is going to be tricky. But then there's all the soft enforcement. That's all the norms of what best practice are. That's where countries, even if they don't have a military on their side, they can show what best practice should be. They can demonstrate it through their actions, through their language. And if someone is stepping in a different direction, then it immediately stands out. So this is one of the aspects that we'll have to be navigating over the next years. Today's the day to celebrate that we have this treaty on paper, but it's not a reason for complacency. There's a lot of hard work up ahead to make sure that it really results in positive change for the ocean and for people who rely on it.
Okay, Robert Blasiak from Stockholm University, thanks so much for those insights.
Thanks, Nick.